What if the world's first global trade network collapsed in a single, catastrophic moment? That moment didn't just sink a ship. It unraveled an empire's lifeline. The sudden climate stabilization event dramatically altered the trajectory of the Sea People's invasion fleet. Their relentless advance suddenly halted due to unforeseen environmental shifts. This unexpected stabilization event fundamentally redirected the fate of the entire region. The threat dissolved, allowing ancient civilizations to focus on internal survival strategies. In this stable environment, major powers engaged in formal diplomacy to secure their mutual existence. The Hittites, Egyptians, Mycenaeans, and Assyrians signed a critical pact. This formal agreement, known as the Treaty of Kadesh II, established a powerful mutual defense pact. It solidified the fragile stability across the ancient Near East. Crucially, the critical knowledge of literacy survived this period of upheaval. Linear B and cuneiform scripts were carefully preserved across millennia. Scribal schools did not vanish. Instead, they evolved into sophisticated early academies of learning. Knowledge transmission became a structured, enduring institution. The flow of vital resources remained open, ensuring that essential tin routes persisted across vast distances. This prevented the systemic resource starvation that doomed our timeline. The open tin routes from Afghanistan and Cornwall proved absolutely vital to the continuity of history. They acted as a critical buffer against catastrophic resource collapse. The resilience of these systems demonstrates a profound capacity for adaptation. Ancient structures proved more adaptable than we often assume about human history. The preservation of these ancient records ensured that knowledge survived the fragmentation. This continuity allowed later civilizations to build upon established foundations. The very structure of this unbroken history suggests a profound, hidden mechanism at play. A deliberate course correction shaped the trajectory of human civilization. This divergence was not random chance. It was a carefully orchestrated historical shift. The stability achieved allowed for unimaginable subsequent developments. The existential threat of immediate survival gave way to complex dynastic succession crises across the collapsing empires. Diplomacy became the sole surviving mechanism for managing these internal power struggles between fractured kingdoms. A unique international structure emerged. The Great Kings Club establishing a novel postal system using standardized clay token logistics. This system allowed for the first coordinated flow of information across vast distances, fundamentally changing interstate relations. In Anatolia, the avoidance of widespread famine provided a crucial window for metallurgical innovation to accelerate dramatically. Hittite metallurgists achieved a mastery over crucible steel production, advancing their technology by nearly 1,500 years. Mycenaean palace economies began shifting away from rigid redistributive command towards more flexible proto-market systems. These economies relied heavily on the silver standard, creating a framework for sophisticated international exchange and wealth distribution. Egypt successfully navigated the fragmentation, avoiding the prolonged chaos of the Third Intermediate Period entirely. The 20th dynasty launched ambitious scientific expeditions, seeking new resources and knowledge beyond the familiar borders. The expedition aimed to secure new trade routes, focusing on accessing distant lands for vital materials and unknown commodities. By the way, if you like this discussion, don't forget to subscribe. There are many more interesting topics coming up. Light bulb. The pursuit of these resources fundamentally altered the balance of power in the wider Mediterranean world. These organized trade networks ensured that innovation, rather than immediate collapse, defined the trajectory of human civilization. By 800 BCE, a remarkable Mediterranean library network began to rival Alexandria's intellectual might. These ingenious steam-powered eolipiles began pumping vital water from the deep Laurion mines. This technological leap signaled a shift in resource management long before the classical era began. The Phoenician sailors established a routine circumnavigation of Africa, transforming legendary voyages into practical trade routes. This new trade route ultimately secured a vital Atlantic tin monopoly by the year 600 BCE. The systemic resource starvation that previously doomed our timeline was successfully averted by these maritime advances. The establishment of a unified legal framework, the so-called Pax Assyriaca, suppressed tribal raiding across the entire Levant. This immense peace created a unified legal code spanning from the Levant all the way to the lands of Persia. From these unified structures, early germ theory emerged, preserved within Egyptian medical papyri and temples. Through these preserved texts, early civilizations managed to contain devastating plagues and outbreaks effectively. Mathematics evolved dramatically from Babylonian base 60 notation to a positional zero system by the 200 BCE. This mathematical evolution provided the necessary foundation that eventually enabled the development of calculus. The development of positional notation allowed for complex calculations that were previously unimaginable to the ancients. The ancient scribal schools did not vanish, but rather evolved into sophisticated early academies of knowledge. This continuity ensured that crucial knowledge, like the history of mathematics and medicine, persisted across millennia. The unification under the Assyrian peace created a stable environment necessary for complex scientific and intellectual growth. The process of historical fragmentation was actively suppressed, preventing the loss of accumulated institutional memory. The suppression of the Great Forgetting ensured that humanity retained a continuous dataset rather than fragmented mysteries. This unbroken chain of knowledge represents a profound psychological weight across 3,000 years of human experience. The stability achieved was not merely political, but fundamentally shaped the philosophical breakthroughs of Greece and India. By 1200 years, Mesopotamia was governed by intricate clockwork automata managing vast irrigation systems. Gunpowder remained a curiosity, not a destructive weapon of war. The transition from Bronze Age warfare was subtle, shifting power dynamics away from brute force toward sophisticated mechanical management. This era redefined ancient engineering principles. Across the vast ocean, Phoenician-descended caravels established routine trade routes that redefined global interaction. This contact led to a profound great synthesis, avoiding catastrophe. The absence of the catastrophic Columbian exchange allowed for a smooth, unified exchange of knowledge and resources across continents. This stability fundamentally altered human development. The pursuit of tin, once a source of systemic starvation, was secured by established routes long before the catastrophic events unfolded. This stability ensured resource flow for millennia. The Mediterranean library network flourished by 800 before the Common Era, rivaling Alexandria in intellectual depth. Steam-powered eolipiles pumped water from Laurion mines. The Phoenician circumnavigation of Africa evolved from a mythical legend into an established, routine trade practice. This expanded reach secured the Atlantic tin monopoly by 600 before the Common Era. The Pax Assyriaca emerged as a powerful legal framework, unifying the Levant and Persia through established peace treaties. Tribal raiding ceased under this unified authority. The evolution of mathematical notation led to a positional zero system by 200 before the Common Era. This foundational step enabled the later development of advanced calculus. The shift in power allowed for the emergence of a unified bureaucracy, known as the League of the Great Sea. This system was based on meritocratic principles from the scribal caste. Internal power struggles shifted from mere survival to complex dynastic succession managed through sophisticated diplomacy. Diplomacy became the primary tool for international relations. Mycenaean palace economies transitioned away from simple redistribution toward proto-market systems utilizing a standardized silver standard. This fostered economic innovation across the Aegean. Egypt successfully avoided fragmentation into the Third Intermediate Period, focusing instead on internal stability. The 20th dynasty launched a scientific expedition to punt for new resources. By 1850, humanity achieved orbital flight, viewing the ancient pyramids not as tombs but as active mission control centers. This marked a true transcendence of terrestrial limitations. We examine the profound cost of stability across 3,000 years of unbroken history. Did suppressing the Dark Age truly forestall the great philosophical breakthroughs of Greece and India? The suppression of historical chaos may have inadvertently stifled the necessary intellectual friction required for true innovation. Stability came at a heavy price for the pursuit of pure, uninhibited thought. We are now confronted by a world without the great forgetting, where history functions as a continuous, living dataset rather than a fragmented mystery. Every event is recorded, yet understood only in retrospect. This continuous record eliminates the gaps of myth, allowing for a stark understanding of human causality. The past is no longer hidden. It is simply organized data waiting to be processed by the present age. The sheer psychological weight of 3,000 years of unbroken ancestor worship shapes the very structure of this realized timeline. Memory becomes an institutional burden, binding generations to inherited beliefs. Imagine standing before a starship named Gilgamesh, contemplating the trajectory of this fractured existence. Was the Great Collapse a catastrophic tragedy? Or was it a necessary and brutal chrysalis? The weight of this historical continuum forces us to question the nature of linear progress we once believed was absolute. Every perceived advancement is merely a carefully managed illusion. The illusion of order was maintained by suppressing inconvenient truths about resource scarcity and systemic fragility. True advancement requires acknowledging the inherent instability woven into the fabric of reality. Adaptability, born from chaos, proved more potent than rigid structure. The unpredictable nature of the collapse gifted humanity a fierce capacity for reinvention and survival. The final inversion reveals that the ancient order bought them specific terrestrial dominion, while our timeline's chaos ultimately provided the necessary adaptability for cosmic exploration. Hi there! If you enjoy this kind of content, don't forget to subscribe. Smiling face with smiling eyes. Tomorrow's video will reveal this secret. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Shushing face.